have Jami Goldstene. For more than 10 years, Jami worked at Edelman, one of the largest public relations firms in the nation and really in the world. She then started her own firm, J. Warner Group, and 6 years ago, she opened up Solomon's Delicatessen in Sacramento. Jami grew up in Los Angeles, an Angelina like myself. She graduated from Fairfax High School and Cal State Northridge with a degree in journalism. Jami, it is a pleasure to have you with us today.
Pleasure to be here, Hector. Thank you so much for having me.
So, Jami, I just got to start off is tell us what it was like growing up in Los Angeles. I know you grew up specifically in the city of Downey.
I did.
What were you into at growing up?
I was a typical kid. I played sports. I played softball, ponytail league. It was a different time, as you know. So the kids on the street were my best friends, and we played all day long and rode our bikes everywhere. And it was a completely different time than the time that my own daughter has grown up in. And, Downey was a kind of this sort of stereotypical small town, yet it was so close to Los Angeles that you could have the best of both worlds. I have revisited a couple of times. It's really become a really vibrant community, very diverse. It was a really interesting place to grow up, although I was certainly one of the only Jewish kids in school. And that was a little bit challenging, but I managed to get through it. And then we moved to Los Angeles proper to the Fairfax area when I was in almost out of junior high. And then I went to Fairfax High School and then on to Cal State Northridge, and then moved up to the Sacramento area. Almost about 36 years ago.
It's interesting when you talk about the Jewish community, being in East Los Angeles, we had a pretty large Jewish community. I remember, because I still remember the name of the street, Brooklyn.
Oh yeah, Brooklyn Avenue.
Brooklyn Avenue. For a lot of my parents, they still call it, well, in Spanish they call it La Brooklyn, and so yeah.
I mean, that's where we would go to shop, and of course, because my grandfather had owned a specialty cheese shop, kind of gourmet, kind of deli in Huntington Park, California, which you must be very familiar with.
Yeah.
The deli culture was very near and dear to me. And so, so many years later for me to kind of get into the business myself, it was sort of meant to be.
That's great. Well, you ended up going to graduating from Cal State Northridge, and you graduated with a degree in journalism. Did you know from the start that you wanted to be a reporter, or did you have any influences from family or friends, or how did you choose that degree? And
my dad went to USC and got his journalism degree from there after serving in the Air Force during World War II. And then my dad went into advertising and public relations. So I pretty much followed in his footsteps. And yeah, I really always wanted to be in media in some way, food or media. And fortunately for me, I've now done both.
Oh, it's great. Now, after college, where did you go next, before you ended up over at Edelman?
Oh, so many places. First, I was in public relations after I graduated for a savings and loan. You might remember this one, Hector, Coast Federal Savings and Loan with the rabbit and that.
Yeah.
But before that, while I was still in college, I worked for KNBC, the Los Angeles NBC affiliate, and I also worked for the LA Daily News while I was still in college. Then I graduated, went into PR, and then not too long after that, I had the opportunity to join the Los Angeles City Council as a press secretary to an LA City Council member. And then I went on to help to be the press secretary to Assembly member Mike Roos, who was the majority leader, and he was this very interesting, still is, very interesting Southern gentleman who happened to represent this Koreatown. So
Okay.
that was really, really fun. And then I became the press deputy to County Supervisor Ed Edelman, LA County Supervisor Ed Edelman during the 1988 Olympics. Excuse me, 1984
Yeah.
Olympics in Los Angeles. So that was a really exciting, fun time. And then after that, I went into government relations and worked for a large energy company as a lobbyist. And then a couple of different smaller public affairs firms in the Sacramento area. And that led me to Edelman, where I had a really interesting, exciting, and challenging 10 years as the executive vice president and general manager of the Sacramento office. So I pretty much helped to establish their presence in Sacramento.
You know what I love about what your story right now about, the different jobs, that your pathway and how you got over to Edelman, and obviously, you've done so much more afterwards. Is I often, right now that we've got a lot of kids who are looking to graduate from, their
Mhm.
master's degree or college, that are looking to go into politics or communications or some type of field that we've worked on. The question that they always ask is, what's my pathway to get to, or to go work for a legislator, or to go do public relations, or or to do communications for folks. And I often try to tell them is, there is no single pathway. There's, for a lot of us, it takes us through so many different roads that, as long as we're focusing into things that we enjoy doing, we maximize our strengths, um, and utilize kind of our contacts, it gets us to where we need to go, and we find so many different pathways to get there.
Right. There isn't just one thing. I can't attribute it to anything but hard work and kind of being out there. Um, I had, I'm very, very happy and lucky to have earned my degree, but that isn't always the path for everyone. But and I worked hard to do that and worked 4 or 5 jobs during college at the same time. So that helped me as well. When I graduated college, Hector, I'd already amassed, quite a bit of experience. And that put me, far ahead of other people applying for the same job, even though, I didn't go to an Ivy League college or, that sort of thing, or have Ivy League parents. I had really hardworking parents, smart, hardworking parents who exposed me to the world, to all kinds of things, not necessarily through travel, although we did some travel, but um, we went to every museum in Los Angeles, every new exhibit, um, every new sort of movie. I think I mentioned to you earlier that my younger brother, is a movie producer, Oscar-winning movie producer. My older brother is a very, very successful architect. It was a very eclectic kind of family. And I followed in my dad's footsteps, which I'm very proud of. But anyway, that my parents, my mom was an artist, so we were exposed to all kinds of things. We never just sat around and, and we just, yes, of course, family was really important, but it was always also important for my parents to expose us to all that Los Angeles and Southern California had to offer. So, I've been exposed to everything you can think of.
I think that's probably one of the greatest things that we can do for kids, or a family can do for their children, is by exposing them to all of this. One of the questions I wanted to ask you, especially in your career over at Edelman, to tell us a little bit about that experience. But I've got to see that, with you being able to have those 5 jobs in college, where you constantly working, it's
Mhm.
and I think you said something really profound, which is, I graduated from Cal State Los Angeles, and when we in our world, we've got people who graduate from a lot of different universities, but oftentimes the success of where we are or what we do is determined by that thing that you kept on saying, which is the hard work.
Mhm.
And and how did that mindset of the hard work, get you through over some of the challenges over at Edelman, or some of the roadblocks or bumps in the road that you faced over in this ginormous, public relations firm?
Well, it wasn't easy, and as you know from probably talking to other people who have worked in the large firms, it's kind of a, you're thrown into the fire, and in many ways, that's great, in other ways, it's terrifying. I wasn't trained to be a manager, I wasn't trained to budget, I should have been, but it forced me to learn and learn fast. And the pressure of running an office and meeting a P&L and L and that sort of thing, that was something that was not natural for me. I honestly, my skills are in client service and in writing and in strategizing and that sort of thing. So the management part was really unbelievably hard, but also uh, very, very useful to my career overall. So, and I credit Edelman with um, really teaching me uh, not just the basics of public relations and public affairs and crisis communications, but really how to uh, how to be an executive, how to grow, how to rise up in a firm with that's very competitive, where where every day is just an amazing challenge. But I was exposed to so much. I worked for Fortune 50 companies, on every kind of issue possible, environmental, um, socioeconomic, consumer, um, just the crises, alone. That I was exposed to during this time with my various clients was just it was an amazing experience. The travel, the people that I was exposed to, and the lifelong friends that I've made, Hector, and who are still very much a part of my life and my career.
Yeah. Well, Jamie, I know with the especially this field, it's at times difficult where sometimes you're working the late hours, sometimes you're working on projects that just absolutely become all consuming.
Mhm.
And for a lot of folks, there's a big struggle trying to find that work life balance. And how were you able to kind of manage that? You've got your responsibilities at work, you've got your personal life and everything else. How are you able to manage, or what advice would you give to folks that are kind of in this particular situation?
Well, I've been incredibly fortunate to have a wonderful partner, my husband, and he's helped me so much to, of course, raise our daughter. I became a mom very, very late in life, 46 years old. And I was at Edelman at the time, and it was really, really hard. And it made me consider my future
Yeah.
and my daughter's future and my family's future. And not, soon after becoming a mom, a couple years into it, I decided it was probably a better path for me to have my own firm and be much more flexible and available to my daughter. It's very it is not easy um, working in that sort of environment. You can do it. You can be a mom that does everything, that can be everywhere, everything, and to everyone at all times. I found it challenging.
Yeah.
And although Edelman was very good to me, and I appreciate everything about the 10 years that I was there, um, and think about it all the time. And as I said, I'm still very connected. It was time for me uh, to explore other ways of not only making a living, but exploring what else I could do with all that I have learned. And that's what I've done, including, started my own firm, have a variety of different clients whom I still have, and then was able to follow another dream of mine, which was to be involved in the restaurant world and the food industry. And it took, I'd been working on this project for 10 years now, but I was really fortunate to find a group of like-minded entrepreneurs, and we were able to conceive of and raise funds for Solomon's, which is a tribute to Russ Solomon, who started Tower Records right here in Sacramento. And there was really nothing in Sacramento once Tower Records went out of business that memorialized him and his impact on music, and of course Sacramento itself. And I've always had a love of food and the food industry and food literature. And my parents had exposed me. Not only did we go to every museum, but I was eating Thai food and Japanese food and, and Korean food before any other kids, of my age had ever even heard of it. Sushi, and who was eating sushi in the early 70s,
You're
unless
right. And I
you're
remember
Japanese.
my father worked downtown where they import all the fruit in Los Angeles, and he would bring all this Chinese food.
I told
And
you about that. Yes.
it's and we're like, where is this magical stuff coming from?
Yes. 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 No, I told you, but we went to this fantastic restaurant, Man Fu Glo, right on San Pedro. You've got to ask your dad about that.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know it's amazing, all the different types of food restaurants there. And, I mean, sticking over with Solomon's that you opened up, I mean, if, what are the, for those folks, and because I just saw not, was it 2 days ago? I think it was 2 days ago on Good Day, Sacramento. You're having an event, I believe, at the end of the month. And, for folks that, we'll put this information out there and we'll make sure that in the notes, we'll put the website to Solomon's. What is and a link over to the menu. What is the one thing or two things that you think people should maybe order when they go to the restaurant if it's going to be their first time?
Well, definitely the bagels, which we make in-house. We boil and bake them just like on Brooklyn Avenue. And of course, we have the best pastrami in the region. It's absolutely phenomenal. We use the same purveyor that Langer's and Cantor's in Los Angeles use. And Langer's is considered the best pastrami in the United States.
Yes.
Ours is really, really excellent. We also have this kind of cool California Japanese vibe as well. And we serve some delicious Japanese fried chicken and a variety of all house-made delicious food. We cure our own lox, a la Brooklyn Avenue. It's very eclectic. Brunch is amazing. We have drag brunch once a month on Saturdays, the first Saturday of every month. We have DJs on the weekends. We have live music upstairs in the Russ room, named for Russ. It's an eclectic place to hang out. We apparently had a really, really great weekend this last weekend because of all the amazing events that were going on downtown. The March Madness and St. Patrick's Day and concerts. Carrie Underwood was there over the weekend. There's a lot happening in downtown Sacramento, and we're very fortunate to be right there, just a half a block from Golden One Center. Of course, the Kings, I almost forgot about them. How could we forget about them? They're amazing. So that's helping too. That's helping downtown. It's helping Solomon's. It's helping the area feel to come back alive. We had to close Solomon's, as everyone else did. We had to close down for 3 months, 3 years ago, almost exactly, for the pandemic, and we managed to stay alive and healthy, and even employ some of our staff during that time by having a community kitchen where we, served hundreds of meals per day to at-risk elderly and some unhoused populations. And That kept us afloat as well during that really difficult time. And then, of course, we had to sometimes the inside of the restaurant was closed, the patio was closed, the inside was open, the patio was open. It was a really, really crazy time to be in the
Yeah.
restaurant business. But unlike many, many others who unfortunately did not survive this this tumultuous time, um, Solomon's has, and I'm really proud of that.
In this wonderful life that you've had so far, and obviously many more years. I mean, what's one of the important lessons you've learned over your career, or advice you would give to those who are just kind of starting off their career, or who are maybe looking to change their pathway of where they're going next? Maybe hit that bump in the road, and they're kind of looking to readjust their life, or it's like, okay, what pathway do I take?
Well, i- i- you talked about it's often who you know and not what you know. I've again been really fortunate to have this huge network, and I mean huge network, having worked for 40 plus years now, in the professional world, of amazing people from all different kinds of for all from all different parts of my life and all different parts of my career. And so I do have this network that I try to stay close with. Of course, things like Facebook, the advent of Facebook and social media has helped quite a bit. And I stay in touch, and I also am a mentor, and I help lots and lots, and I'm kind of known for helping to put people together professionally, and I'm good at it, and it's helped me because things come back to you.
Yeah.
Good deeds do come back to you, and I feel very good about that. I feel really good about that. I think that's one of my contributions to society as a whole, that I have helped a lot of people find new careers, find, really excellent spots, especially at difficult times in their lives. And I also, by the way, I also am an active volunteer in many, many different things, and that has helped as well. But I think it's staying relevant, Hector. It's staying on top of things. It's reading, it's being on top of the news, it's reading. We read 3 newspapers a day here in my little house, and we're very, very media savvy. Um, we're just I mean, I'm just my husband's a professor. We're very of this world, and if there's any advice I could give to someone, it's stay present, stay relevant, know how to put 2 and 2 together. If there's something happening in the world, anything, whether it's the Chinese balloon, or extreme weather, or whatever it is, those things affect your client. They
Yeah.
can very well be affecting your client, even though it might seem worlds away. It's not. And the ability to understand that has been the key to the success that I've had in this business. To really understand my clients' needs by understanding the world around us. And that I think is the key to success.
That is some great advice, and I know talking to Stephen Allen, he speaks highly of you. I've had an opportunity to work with you on a couple projects, and I mean, you've just been absolutely amazing. And I always, I look through my life, and I look at people who who've come in different parts of stages of my life, and people who've been mentors, and kind of the advices that have given me. And it's funny, I was talking to Stephen Allen the other day, and we were, you know, he's recently gotten engaged, and I told him an advice that I had received. Gosh, I think I was out of college, and it was a friend of mine, and I must have been about 22, 23 years old, and he was in his 60s. And his advice, Hank Wong, his advice was just remember, you're never gonna marry everyone you fall in love with. And I go, and that was his advice that I've carried with me.
Good
He was always,
advice.
yeah, he was always full of good advice. And I wanted to ask you, has there been anyone in your professional or personal life that's been a mentor, and is there kind of a life lesson that person's given you that you either carry it through to today, you remember it, or it's kind of helped you in any part of your life, or whether work life or personal life?
I've been really fortunate to have some fantastic mentors, but the one, that I think about the most was, Mike Deaver, who was Ronald Reagan's, communications, expert, um, for many, many years in not only in Sacramento, but in the White House. And Mike, I was really lucky that Mike was at Edelman, went to Edelman, and was very instrumental in bringing me on board. And I did not know him before, but we became very, very close. And one thing that Mike, even though we were not politically aligned, Mike's obviously a Republican. I'm a Democrat. Um, Mike Mike Deaver gave me some amazing advice, which was, Jamie, um, you're going to work hard, and your number one goal is to get to the point where you walk into the room, you're the smartest person in the room, you say a couple of smart things, you walk out, you get a big check, and that's it. And that's what Mike was doing for Edelman, and he was amazing at it, and he was an amazing mentor to so many people. But I think about him, and I think about the way that he understood client service, and again, he had that ability to put two and two together. He was a communications savant,
Absolutely.
and I just learned so much from him, and my other mentors at Edelman, of course. Um, but Mike, I'm sorry he's not around anymore, because he would have gotten a kick out of Solomon's and everything that I've done since the 25 years ago that I met him.
Wow. And one of the other things I love to ask people, I always find it interesting, is, but I think I know the answer already, because I think you're here, is, if there was an occupation that you could do other than what you've done in life, or if you could do it all over again, what would that be? And I'm just making the assumption here. It's probably Solomon's that you're in right now.
Well, it was always my great love for through my parents for food and for cool restaurants and stuff. Of course, since I am from Hollywood, I always wanted to be, you know, I also wanted to be an actress and a musician. But that has not happened, and I don't think that's my next career, Hector. I think there are other things, many, many other things. I'm, as we've talked about, I'm too young to retire, and I've got a lot left in me, and a lot of people to help in their careers, and I look forward to working with all of them and with you as well.
Well, Jamie, I right now, as you're speaking a little earlier, I looked up your brother, and I mean, he got his Oscar over for Shrek, I think it
He
was.
he sure did, and he ended up, yeah, he that was the first animation Oscar that was ever given out, and he then went on to produce the subsequent Shrek movies, and he's still working in animation as well right now.
Well, one of the movies that I just saw, and I saw it in your brother's credits, and is one of my favorites with my girls, and we'd love to play, because we absolutely love the music. The storyline is the Book of Life, and
Yes,
we probably saw that probably for the 100th time about a month ago,
really.
with the girls. And I said, my 6-year-old, my 13-year-old, I mean, myself and Amy, we sit around and we watched it about a month ago.
It's a wonderful movie. It really is. He's mentoring animators from all over the world. He just spent a month in Thailand working on a project. a secret project. Anyway, he's also a wonderful mentor, even though he's my little brother. But I'm
Well,
very, very proud of him.
well, we could maybe we talk to him and get you over in Hollywood there, and some sort
Yeah,
of animation there.
I've asked him, Hector. It's not going to happen.
Well, Jamie, we whenever we kind of end the different interviews, I always like to ask people that we've got on the show is, what are 2 or 3 books or movies or mixture of both that you would recommend to our audience and why?
Well, I'm a real fan of all kinds of media, all kinds of media, and um, I'm really enjoying the new genre of television, of streaming. I think Sopranos is about the best thing ever made on television. I think Deadwood was absolutely amazing. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's
Mhm.
amazing. I think uh, going back, I love anything on PBS. I'm a real Anglophile. The Jewel in the Crown, which is 40 years old now, is like my favorite thing. And all of the actors ended up like in House of Dragons or whatever it's called. What's it called? You know what I mean. Um, anyway, I love anything British. I am an avid reader, and of course, can't remember any of the names of the books. One of the books in recent memory, I think, is becoming a movie, and it's called the Age of Miracles.
Yeah.
But it's about a phenomenon, the slowing of the earth and what happens to the world. And it's kind of a uh, kind of creepy, but but kind of amazing story about one young girl in Southern California and what happens to her life, when the world slows down. And it's an environmental, you know, warning. It's just a very amazing book, and I think that it's becoming a movie. Um, and I can't get it out of my head. So I love movies. I love television. I'm a sports fan. I'm a huge Sacramento Kings fan, and I always have been
Yeah.
ever since I got here. In fact, the first year that I moved to Sacramento was the year they moved to
Yeah.
Sacramento. So uh, I'm really, really, and I'm a huge San Francisco Giants fan as well.
We'll forgive you on that one. I'm
No,
sure.
I told you I grew up a Dodgers fan. I told you that.
I know. I know. I grew up in Echo Park, and
I know.
you've got well, during the '80s, you got Fernando, you got the 2 World Series,
Oh,
and so it was just. I mean, and from the apartment complex where we lived, we could, Fridays were
you could
fireworks
hear
night,
it.
and we as kids, like yourself, we were on bikes and stuff, and we just kind of look over and just look at the fireworks, and it was just absolutely just amazing times, and so.
Yeah, it really was. It really was.
Well, Jamie, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to get together with us. And I know that, as we publish this, it's going to be really helpful for a lot of folks, especially those that are looking to get into this career, or at the same time, a lot of the advice, the hard work, the not who you know. I mean, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And just, going out there and realizing too that there isn't just one pathway to where you need to get to. I mean, talking to Steven, he was a bartender when he got out of
Mhm.
college,
Mhm.
and for a lot of folks
Mhm.
is I worked at a bank too. And so,
Mhm. Did you?
we take all these different pathways, but it's that passion, it's that hard work, it's that getting to know people or staying relevant. I love that, that story of, your advice about reading, just figuring out what is going on right now, because somehow there may be a linkage over to a client that you need.
Absolutely, Hector. And I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today as well. It's a real honor.
Well, Jamie, I wish you the best today, and look forward to seeing you pretty soon.
Me too, Hector. Thank you so much.